ready for upload. So that is what we covered on Monday. I'll repeat again. We were able to go through the user interface for Silver 3D. I came in and we were able to appreciate the data. We did some cleanup, just removing the unnecessary data. We looked at we explained what some of the aspects, how to identify the northing and the easting, the elevation, how to properly present the data ready for importation to the software. And that is where we left off. So today, picking up from there, we'll be able to import the data. We'll be able to create the description keys. And then hopefully we'll be able to create a surface and do some bit of analysis on that surface. Are we together up to that point? I'm going to presume.
Acha mtu ananiingi aje kurecord hii meeting.
The meeting is being recorded, so don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, you are unmuted.
Yangu iko off, sija mute.
Let me assist you with that. You're muted now. And kindly use your official name for records. Oh, speaking of names, we also have a list going on in the group. Kindly make sure, cross-check, make sure that your name is captured properly. For the sake of the certification, we don't want to produce the certificates and then we get concerns or concerns with respect to their names were not captured correctly. So kindly find time to go through it and verify that your name is captured correctly. All right, that being said, unless there is a concern that I should address before we begin, I'll give you a bit 2 minutes. If you have a concern, a recommendation, an observation, a clarification to seek, this is the moment. All right, we can continue if that's the case. So I'm going to launch the software and share my screen. I hope my screen is visible to you. And for this exercise, we'll be using the metric template. I presume Engineer Blasius explained that clearly. If you're in an imperial country where you use the imperial units, then you resort to that. But for us in Kenya, we normally use the metric system. So using the metric template makes much more sense. So for that, you just click on a new drawing, and this is where we're going to start. All right. So you'll have the interface, and I'm confident that you're taken through it. So I won't dwell much on it. I'll just take you to where we had our data prepared and cleaned. I hope you had a chance to look at the various data shared. This is what we cleaned. We still have the beta, we have the commando, and then we have the alpha. This other one, I don't remember. I don't know why they didn't label their data, but you can get to appreciate some of the points. I myself didn't get a chance to label them correctly, but I can rearrange them and make sure that they're good to go. So this one is the control. I can discard with all this data, just have it in numeric, or rather, I can just retain it. I know the issue I'm having here is this is the nothing. I'm going to cut it, paste it here, and then I move the easting so that we have the easting coming first, followed by the nothing, then the elevation. that is the format that will be adopting. So this one is for Commando, and then you make sure that your file is saved as a CSV. So let me check. CSV, that's okay. I'll just import that. So that's for Commando. Ideally, what we did, we took the data for the entire area, but we did it in bits or in groups. So if you see the names, don't let that confuse you. We'll just be doing patchworks until we have everything. Again, here we are having the nothing starting. I hope you remember how to identify which one is the nothing and which one is the easting. Ideally, the smaller value will be the easting because it's usually capped to 5 million. The larger value will be the nothing. That one doesn't have a limit. It can go up to 10 million. But be careful when you're looking at you're judging by those parameters. Make sure you check that area closer to the equator. If it's closer to the equator, then the nothing might be lower, on a lower value than the easting. So for our case, we're confident that this is the nothing. So what I'm doing, just swapping these two. This one, I cut it, they paste it here. I can save it, then just check the format. CSV, that's okay. That's okay for beta. And then the KSIM, we had cleaned it. This is what this is the alpha. So we had cleaned it. This is what you're having. So we just check the KSIM topo. If it's up to our standards, the KSIM topo, same thing. We can get to that. Cut that, paste it there. So this is how you should have your data. The format that we are adopting, and it's very important you note, is we are having the point number followed by the point, the easting, followed by the nothing, the elevation, then finally the description. There's a neighbor, or let me say a sister to this, will be the point followed by the nothing, easting, elevation, then the description. It's very easy to confuse these two. And if you do, your drawing will appear upside down. So make sure you note exactly which system or which format your data is arranged. So once you have it as such, you can go ahead and save it. I close it. Make sure before you import your data, the Excel is closed and that drawing is not active anyway. So let me check. Okay, don't have Excel active anyway. Then the next thing that you do, when you come to your Civil 3D, you go to the points. You can access the points from here, the home tab. You just click, then you go to point creation tool. Kindly, if you're not speaking to us, mute. Thank you. Oh, you met me. Let me assist you with that. All right. So you can access the points from here. You just click that, then you say point creation tool, and then you'll have this panorama open. And then you go to the last option, which is import points. Or the other way to do it, you just come to your tool space, then prospector, you'll have your points here, right click, say create, and then you'll have the same panorama pop up again. So you can click on import points, and this is the window that will pop up. And I'll draw your attention to the right side where you're having the plus. This is where you get to add the file. So what you do is just click on plus. It will pop up here. So if you're opening Civil 3D for the very first time, it will be on text, right? So make sure you just switch it from text and you switch it to CSV. So it will help you easily locate the CSV files. And here, this is the data that you're going to be importing. You can see it's all in CSV format, so you're able to see it. If we didn't switch this to CSV and we were still on text, the folder will appear empty. So that's why it's important. You make sure you switch it to the desired file that you're looking for. Then you can get to import. So the first data, let me start with the alpha data. This is what we claimed last time with you guys. So I just say open, and it will, if it passes the first check, that means the format, we don't have any secondary information. That is the legend is deleted. We don't have the title. The format is correct. We don't have commas instead of full stop for the decimal separators. You'll get this check mark, and also the software is closed. You'll get this check mark, proving that the data has been accepted. If you get an X, then you have to check if that data fits the bill according to how it's supposed to be. And you can just run down from the last class and see how to properly present your data. If you made a mistake and you selected the wrong file, you can always click on the X to remove the file. And if you have more files to add, you can always get to add them as well. Just click that and you say open. It will add. You can see you're having a problem with that file. So you can select that and remove it. We'll check which error do we have with that data. So for the KSIM cleaned, this is what we had. The next question you'll be asked is to specify the point file format that we are having. So we have the easting, nothing, elevation. We didn't have this as our format, and you can clearly see from the preview, this is not how our data is arranged. We have the X, Y, and Z. This is not how our data is arranged. We have other formats, but our data is arranged as a point, easting, northing, elevation, then the row description, and our data is comma delimited, which means it's a CSV file. So if you're not having a CSV file, you'll have to specify the type of file you're having. Sometimes you can import a text, but I normally discourage people from using that. The other thing that we can do, because we are going to import 4 sets of data, I would love to group them according to the group that did it. So this one, I love to group it as the alpha topo. This is what the alpha group did. So you can go ahead and click OK. We'll have a point group created for that. So to do elevation adjustments, not necessary. We can just leave it as it is. And once you check that everything is okay, you can go ahead and click OK. You won't see anything on your screen because this is think of it as an open world. So probably where you've referenced your points, you won't be able to see them on the grid. To do that, there are several ways to get to your points. One, you can come to the navigation bar and just click on this icon, which is the zoom extent. The second way to do it, to come to the point group, you can see all the points. You right click and you say zoom to. It will take you to where those points are. The third way to do it is just to type on your screen and you just type ZE. It's a shortcut for zoom extents. And once you click enter, you'll get your points as such. So this is what our group, that is the alpha, what they did. I can see the scale is too high, so that's why you're seeing this distortion. So I can get to change it from here. I just switch it. This area was relatively small. Let me switch it to 1:250. So this is what we are having. Okay. So this is the data that they collected. Doesn't make sense that much, but okay. Oh, we can see the gate, the fence here, port height, the parking lot. Okay, we'll just make sense of that. Any question to that point before we get to import what the others did? Let me check the chat box. No question in the chat box. Any question? All right, if you're good, we can repeat for the other groups. So remember what I said, if you want to import, just right click on the points, say create, come to that icon, import, select the points where you want to get them. I'm going to do the beta and then just say open. You're getting an X. So I need to check on that data. That tells me there is an issue with that data that we need to figure out. So let's look at it. This is the data that we are having. Okay. Okay, storage hours. This is what we are having because it's supposed to recognize this as our number point, but it's not recorded as such. So I can just quickly amend this. Then we check if we have any other outlier point. We fix it. Then we upload the elevation. It's okay. The description. It's okay. But remember, you want to work on the description so that you have something uniform. See if here we are having lowercase, in uppercase, the benchmarks, and whatnot. So this is what we are having. All right. So I can go ahead and save it. File, save as. I'll save it as better cleaned. Go ahead and save. Then make sure that it's closed. Then you can repeat the process again. Better cleaned. Yeah, you can see now we get that check mark telling us the data is okay. The next thing that you do, specify the format, and then we create a point group for it. This one was done by Beta. And then you say okay. Then you say okay. Yeah, we can see you'll get this pop-up telling you that some of the point numbers have been duplicated, but you can just override. It's okay. And then you'll get that data that was done. You can see we have some overlap, which is okay, especially for this kind of data. We can move to the next group. I presume the commando had an issue as well. So quickly, I'll go to the data and check. This one should be okay. Should be good to be accepted. So let me just save it again. Save as commando cleaned. And then I save it. And I make sure that it's closed. Then we repeat. So select that file, command cleaned, open, still getting an X, tells you that the point number is what we are having an issue with. So is that file cleaned, where here, come here. So we fix this. To fix this, we can choose. By the way, you don't need to start from one. You can even choose to start from, let's say we start from 200, and then this one will be 201, and then this one will be 202. And then I can quickly send this to the rest, command that. So we concluded at 379. Okay, we remember to do that. Then you can save your work, and then we get to repeat the same. So come here, import, add the file, command clean. Sorry for that. It should be here. Command clean, open. Yes, get a check mark. Make sure you specify the right format, and then we group this data in a group. Say that this is the command topo. Then you get to say okay, and you send the data. You get some duplicates, but it's okay. Just say okay, and you can see this is what Commando are able to do, which is quite interesting. Quite interesting. The last group, we can get to check. Let me check if they have an issue before we send it. That is topo kissing. Yeah, this was done by the other group. This one is okay. This one is okay. 200. So it starts. Just come here, add, select it. Yeah. So can someone remind me which was the other group? They didn't indicate it on their data. What was their name?
Should be Delta.
Delta. Ah, thank you. Delta. So we select the file format, and then we have it in a group. This was done by Delta. Topo. Right? So once you're satisfied, you go ahead and send it. Just say okay. For the overlapping, just ignore that, and you can see now we have a full spectrum of what we need to work on. And that's how you import your data. Any question to that point? Anything that was not clear with that first procedure? If you forgot, if in any case you forgot to create the groups, you can always create the point groups from here. So you just select the point groups, right click, then you click on new. When you click on new, you'll get this panorama here. You can give your point groups a name. Let me just do as an example. Let's say we want to group all our spot heights together, right? So I can give it a description or a name. Say this is the spot height. All right. So then the next criteria that I need to do is just to specify how am I going to identify my spot heights. So these are the available groups. You can get to appreciate them. We have the raw description matching. Then we have the include. Now, there are different ways that you can get to pick the spot heights. You can choose them by or select them by the number, or you select them in drawing. So if you had a cluster, let's say you did a group and you forgot to group it, and it has all the money. Let's say you send the beta and you want to group it. You just come here, select the first option that says select and drawing. So since you know where the group is, you can easily just highlight and you have it. Once you select that and press enter, you'll have it in a group, right? And then you can proceed. But if that's not your desire, maybe you want to group them by elevation. You can say all those points with an elevation of 1,000, I want to group them. Then you specify. You can group them by names, but I'll advise that you do it by description matching. And we know our spot heights. Most of our groups, or most of us groups, labeled it as SP, right? So you can just say SP, and then this is when you're including. If you want to exclude, you can choose to go the exclusion way, but it's cumbersome. Just use the include. You can come to the query builder, just forget about it. This just shows you the query that has been input to search for your point. The overrides is what to ignore, so don't bother about it. I'll take you to the point list. This will show you a summary of what has been selected, and you can see all the points with the description SP will be selected. So you can choose, once you go through it and you're satisfied, you just go ahead and click OK. And you'll have all your spot heights grouped into one group. If you want to appreciate them, you can just right click and then say select. You can see all the SP points have been selected, right? Just as such. If you wanted to edit them, you just come here and click edit, and you'll be able to edit them. Maybe let's say you are not satisfied with the SP that was assigned to them. Maybe you want to change the code. Then you can go ahead and change it. I know others represented it as SH. So you can get to substitute that to SH. But I'll prefer you do this from Excel, because now from here it becomes cumbersome, because you'll have to do one at a time until you're done. There's now no that option. You don't have that option to just drag the entire result. So make sure when you want to edit, to have it in the right format, you do it from Excel. It's way faster and it saves you a lot of time. This option to edit, just engage it or adopt it when you want to change not more than 10 points. And that is when you can get to engage it. Maybe you want to edit something to do with the description or the elevation or something. Maybe let's say you did your benchmark. What you recorded is not what is actually there, but someone has the correct value. You can always get to input the correct value from here. That's one way. The other way okay, once you make any change, you get to update so that the changes you've made are updated. The other thing that we can look at before we move to the next aspect is the groups. If you're working on a road project, you might need to group all your center lines together, because that is where you're going to start on your design, right? That is where you're going to, in fact, when you're doing roads, we mainly focus on the center line. So it follows that grouping them together will assist you work with them better. Any other thing that I'm forgetting? Not really. Now, we look at what we're seeing. I know most of you are not happy with. It's very chaotic, crowded, some might say. We might want to change this so that we have something that is more presentable. And to do that, we go to settings, then we go to points, you expand it, and then you come to an aspect called the description key set. You just expand it and you will see the preset. If you want to create a new one, you just right click and then you say copy, and then you proceed to create a new one. But if you want to continue with what's there, you can just edit the keys and you'll have this panorama appearing. So what are we going to do here? We're going to specify the code, for example, the SP for the spot height, and you're going to change the style of how it appears. We're going to give it a new label set. Label set is what you're seeing here. For example, we are seeing the point number, we are seeing the elevation, and we're seeing the description, right? And that repeats for most of the points that we're seeing here. We're just having the point number, elevation, and description. The other label sets, let me exit from this. The other label sets that we can explore, I select all the points, right click, then I go to properties. As we are investigating the properties, you can see we have the point style. The point style, this one is that marker, the X that you're seeing in red, this one. That one is the point style. So what we are having is the basic, but I'll show you how we can get to customize ours. For example, we still have others, the presets, the pole, the drill, the guy pole, the STA and whatnot, the tripit have already been established, but you can always create yours. And that is the process that you're going to look at. For the label style, what is there, what you're seeing is the point, elevation, then the description. We have an option for the description only, which is just so BLD or SP alone. We have an option for the elevation and description, which will just show the last two, that is the elevation and the description. We have elevation only, it will only show you the elevation. We have the northing easting, it will only show you the northing and the easting. And then point number and the rest repeats. So for such kind of works, you might just only want to see the description only, or for spot heights, you might just be interested in the elevation or elevation and description, just to know that this is the spot height and this is the elevation for that matter. So depending on what you want to see, you will get to choose. So let me just do a demo and see the so that you appreciate the change. Let's say you just want to see the description, just click that and you say okay. And it should be okay. The reason why it's not appearing to all is because we have these groups and each group has a preset. So the moment you change all points, it might not apply to all. Like you can see this group. That is the spot heights have changed to description only, and you can see the changes have been effected. So I can get to change them at once from the settings, the description key set, and I can modify more than just how they appear, but I can even get to modify the color, I can get to modify the font and whatnot. But the typography, let's say if it's lowercase or uppercase, I can't change it from here unless I do it manually by editing or I do it from Excel. So make sure when you're working on your data, you do everything to do the typography from Excel. That is, make sure you have it in the right case and in the right wording, and you'll be good. So let's do the SV. So we start with the SV. To do that, select what is existing, right click, and say we're going to do a new description key. So for the new, we start with the code. The code that you're going to work on is called the SV. So you just type the code as it appears. Then you go to the style. The style, you must check it first. And you can see you're having the default. You click there, and if you click on the drop down, you'll see the various markers that we are having available. We have the same that I was demonstrating from the other page, the basic, the benchmark, and whatnot. So for our case, we want to create ours. So you just click there, and then you say create new. From the create new, the first page that you'll get is the information. You make sure that you give it a name so that you don't forget. So you see this one is for my spot. Sorry, my caps clock was on. Spot height, so that you remember. If you have any notes that you'd want someone to appreciate them, you can give them here. All right. Then we can move to the marker. Now, for the marker, if you choose the first option, that one will just give a single dot, as you can see here on the preview window. And that is the AutoCAD point marker. But they are custom. But before I come to the custom, let me talk about the blocks. So AutoCAD has some blocks, and I know those who have interacted with it, with AutoCAD, will know this. So you might want to choose one of the existing, and this one I'll ask you, just find time, scroll through them, appreciate, get to understand what's there and what's not. It might come in handy when you're working on a project. At least you'll know you don't need to create a benchmark. It is there, it is created already. So you just come and pick it from here. For the catchment basing, it is there. A drainage pit, drill hole. If you're doing borehole, you can get to represent it from by that point. And the rest, they're here. Just find time to explore them and sure you understand this is here, this is there, and what's available to you, so that when you need it, you don't scroll that much. But for this instance, we're going to use the custom marker. And in the custom marker, you can modify your points to your liking. Maybe you just want, let's say you just want a point in the circle, right? The circle. That's to represent your spot height. Or maybe you just want or such. But remember, as you pick these points, make sure that, like we said from the get-go, it's all about communication. What you choose, make sure that the next person who will be looking at your drawing will be able to make sense of what they're looking at, right? So for the spot height, I feel like choosing something basic, just an X, but something is telling me to spruce it up a bit. But that will be too much. Let me see. I'm debating. Anyone with an idea what we should go with? I'm open. I'm open to ideas. And across with a circle, an X with a circle, across with a square, an X with a square, or whichever. So let's retain what I'm having on the screen. Once you have it set, the rest don't bother with it. That is the display and the summary. Just leave it as it is, and you click OK. And you have your spot height done. So what you do, you just click OK, and it will be assigned. Now for the spot height shows us the random points that were collected and their various elevation. On a topographical map, if you're having your contours labeled, you might not need them. But for our case, we have so many points, so we might want to hide them when we are working on our drawing. So here, what I do, I'll just say I want to go with the description only. But if I want to modify the font and everything, how it appears, then I'll click that and say I'm going to edit, okay, copy current selection. And from the copy current selection, I can get to specify this description. I give it a unique name so that I'll be able to identify it when I'm working on my drawing. Right? Or when I have a list to choose from, I'll know what I'm choosing. So have your name, put a description or a discussion if you have something to say about it. But then on the general, don't bother about it. Just come to the layout. On the layout, this is where you can get to modify some of the aspects, how it appears, all right? So like the name, this is just the point description. The visibility is going to be true. If you turn this to off, you won't be able to see it. The anchor component is this X that you're seeing here. And then you can choose where do you want to anchor it. Do you want to move it up to the top center, to the bottom right, or middle center, whatever. But for our case, we just use the middle right. You can choose where to anchor it. On the text, on the contents, you can just select the first one and then click on the dots. Here we get to change some of the aspects, but before you change anything, such as the font, you have to select everything. That is this black window here. Once it's selected, go to format, and then you can get to choose the font that you want to work with. We normally say choose something that is legible. Don't choose something that is too fancy that people won't be able to make out what they're reading. Arial normally works for me, or others are addicted to New Times Roman, other Mercy Pro. So choose, as long as it's visible and people can make out what they're reading, it's better. So once you have it set, you can go ahead and click OK. You can change the height from here. You can change the rotation angle, the attachment, the offset if you want to move it a little bit to the left or right, or a little bit up or down. You can play with the X offset, that is for the left and right, and the Y for the top down. And then you have the color. So that color doesn't appeal to you, you can always get to switch. Which color will I choose for the spot height? I'm poor with colors, so I'll choose what I can. So let me go with cyan. This is the color that we selected for our spot height. You'll have a chance, a range to pick from when you're working on your drawing. The line weight, if you're having line, you can get to modify here. The border, yes, if you love or you'd want your wordings to be bordered, make sure you turn this to true. But sometimes it can be chaotic, especially if you're working with a huge data set as we are right now. So if you choose that, we have the rectangle, we have the rounded rectangle, or we just have the circle. But to me, if you ask me, this is just too much. I prefer to just switch it off because unless I'm highlighting something specific that I don't want someone to miss, I'll just turn off the borders. And once I'm set with this, I can go ahead and say, okay. This is my description only for the spot heights, and I've modified it. If I want it to be selected, I'll go ahead and say okay once more, and it's enacted. The next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to create a layer. Remember, I don't know if I said this as we started, but I think I should have, or Engineer Brescia should have said, most of the layers that are already preset in the software, probably they'll be used somewhere. And you don't want a scenario where when you're working on your drawing and you freeze an element, it freezes something else that you are working on. Or when you delete, you modify a certain layer, you find you're modifying a certain element that you had not planned for, envisioned for it to be modified. So in that regard, I normally advise when you introduce a new element or a new feature in the drawing, just create a new layer for it. For example, we've introduced the spot height. It is us who know what a spot height is. The software doesn't know. So we don't go ahead and pick a layer that the software knows where it's going to use it for. We create our own layer. And to do that, you just click in an empty box here. You'll be given this option. So all these layers that you see here, the software is going to use it somewhere when you're working on a project. The V is usually for the survey points. The C is usually for the road or the rail if you're working on it, or a stream, depending on what you're working on. And you can see even some have already been labeled like C road, C rail, C hydro, and C bridge. So for peace of mind and working, just go ahead and create a new one. And when you're creating a new one, this is a pro tip so that you don't keep on searching for your points. Make sure when you're typing a name, you start with a special character. It might be a hyphen, it might be an asterisk, it might be a number, so that that point that or that layer that you create will always appear at the top. You don't go scrolling in between when you're searching for it. So for this case, this is the layer for the spot height. The spot height, sorry. You have it as such, you can specify the layer, the color. I think I chose cyan for it. And just for continuity, if you want to modify the line weight, if you want to modify the line type, you can do it from here. But for my case, I'm not going to do that. Then I say, okay. As you can see, my spot height will always appear at the top. Any layer that I create will always appear at the top. If I didn't include a special character, I'll have to search. I'll have to scroll to find it somewhere in between. And it can be tedious if you're working on a number of elements. So once you're satisfied, you make sure you select it, and then you say, okay, and your spot height layer will be added. Now you can repeat this for a number of points. Let me say the buildings. I think the building is what we all can agree we worked on or we created. So for the building, I can choose to create new, or I can choose to just create a copy of the spot height, but I'll go ahead and create new. And then you can change that to BLD. Don't worry, it's not case sensitive. So it will pick all the lowercase and all the uppercase, BLD, and include it. Then the next thing that we are working on is the style of the marker. How are we going to represent the marker for the building? So you can just come here. We are creating a new one. Or let me see if we have a marker for a building. Do we have one? Benchmark, bound. Actually, we can go with bound. Let's see how it's appearing. You can just click on edit current selection. Then you come to marker, and this is how it's going to appear in red. If you don't like it, you can choose to create yours. Just click there and then say create new. And you say for our building, this is how we're going to represent our building. All right. And then, oh, remember to give it a name. If you leave it, it will just save it as a new point style and you will struggle getting it. So building. give it a name. So this marker will represent our buildings. And if you have a description, we just add the marker is what we selected. The display, leave it as it is. Then you finish. Go ahead and click OK. And then OK again to have it effected. The next thing is the label style. For the building, we don't want much. We just want the description. So you can just select that and then you say you're going to copy current selection. You create a copy of that. And we have it for the building. When you're doing such kind of work, don't assume that you're the only person going to look at your work. Think of the next person, right? Think of the next person. It will help you in documenting your work properly. So when the next person gets your work, you won't struggle, or he or she won't struggle trying to make out what, or making calls back and forth. What did you mean here? What did you mean here? So you do that. Now, for the buildings, we're not going to change this. We're just going to change the font to match uniformity, to match what we are having for the spotlights. So make sure that's selected. Come to the format. Just go straight to the font and you switch it to Arial. I think that's what I was using from the, Arial. And then you see, okay. For the color, we're not going to change the rest. For the color, just switch it here. Which building says, let me go with gray. Say okay. And we're not going to add a boundary or anything. Just leave it as such. Just say okay. And then okay again to have it effected. The last thing that we're going to do is to create a layer for the building. Okay, granted, we have a layer for the building, all the buildings that are in the tree as a building. You can see here. If you want to go with it, fine, but I'll advise just you set your own. So you can go ahead and say building. Remember to add a special character at the start. So building and the color. Gosh, I hope I remember the color I picked. Was it this one? Yes. Color number 8. Then say okay. And then you say okay again. And as I said, it will always appear at the top. So you can select that and you say okay again to effect the layer. Once you're done with creating the descriptions for all your points, you can just go ahead and check that box. And someone will ask me, but what we've done has not been effected. You have to go back to your prospector, select all points, right click, and say apply description keys. Once you do that, just give it a moment. Going to change all the points. Let me do this. I want to override everything. I want to override for all of these because I don't want to be applying the description keys for each and every point. Or you can choose to do that. Just right click, let's say spot heights, you right click and say apply. You right click that, you say apply, but it's tedious to do that. Tedious to do that kind of work. So what we normally do, we just control everything from there, all points. Let me see if the changes, no, the changes are not affected. Just a moment to check something. Did I switch this off? No, this one is still on. So when you're starting a new drawing, let's say you're starting in the industry and this is the first time you're doing this, you can do this really well the first time. Then you save that your work as a template. The next time you import your points, you won't go through this hassle of creating new description keys or whatnot. You just upload your template and you go with it. As easy as that. You won't have to go through the hassle of changing each and every point as you work on it. All right. Any question as we resolve this issue with the description keys? You can even type them in the chat box. Let me check if I saved everything. Edit keys. Yeah, you're good. You have the building, you have the tree. This one is okay. Apparently my software now is case sensitive. This is interesting. Let me get to save that. And then let's get to apply the description keys. Yeah. Apparently right now it's case sensitive, so make sure you have it in the right case. So you can see all the points for the spot heights have been modified, and the points for the BLD, for the building, should also be modified. And we have the building to the BLD, which was in lowercase, have been modified. So you can repeat this for all the existing points that are in your drawing, and then you'll share with us what you have when we are done, or when we meet the next time. The other thing that you're going to look at, let me look at my watch, see if, yeah, still have 1 hour that we can get to explore. For the rest, I'm just going to leave the description only. So, okay, this one, properties, I can even have it at none. Let me just have it on description only. For the beta, don't worry, I'll repeat the entire work. I'll clean my data pretty well so that I have everything well represented. By the next time we meet, this is not the same work that you'll look at. Description only, you say okay, and commander, description only. The spot site, I'm not worried about them. Yeah, at least right now we don't have much chaos. This is this is okay. So the other thing that I want us to look at is how to create a surface now. All right, a surface. I'll ask this, each group, kindly select someone, or if you are in a group and you wrote down the meaning for most of the symbols that you use, kindly just write it down for us as a legend and share in the group for the benefit of the other group members. Yes, I know the group in Alpha might have used a certain symbol that is not the group in Commando may not be conversant with. So just kindly take time, write how you designated your points as a group, and then share in the group, and make sure to add a label on it. If it's alpha, say alpha, this is what you used. If it's beta, say beta, this is what you used, and so forth. Alliance with your group leaders as well to make sure that we coordinate that everything is as per, and then all of us can work on the same data with the right description. Now, creating a surface. Funny enough, Civil 3D is arranged in a sequential manner. So we created the points from here. If you want to create a surface, we'll create it from here. And to create a surface, you just click and you click that, and then you select create surface. The same will apply if you're working from the prospector. You just select on the surface, right click, and then you say create surface. Once you click that, you'll have this pop-up window. On your top left, where you're having the type, there are different types of surfaces that you can have. You can create a thin surface. A thin surface just means this is a triangular, irregular network. In a layman's, what we mean is that one point should connect to at least 2 points to create a triangle. And then that triangle is what will be used to compute the surface or the elevations or the contours that we need in between. So this space here, since we don't have anything here, this point will join to this one, and then to get the elevation for this area, or to get the approximate elevation for this area, that triangle will be used to estimate. So if this point is 1620, this is 630, and this 640, if we are close to this point, at this point, it's more likely to be close to 640 than 630. And that's how it's used to compute. For the grid, now instead of just joining to 2 points to create a triangle, we create a quadrant or a parallelogram, should be a parallelogram, a rectangle, a square, or whatnot. So one point should join to at least 3 points to create a quadratic shape, right? So that is a square, rhombus, parallelogram. As long as it's four-sided figure, you'll get it. And that is with the grid. Now, with the volume, this one is used when we are comparing surfaces. If you want to get the volume of a cut, let's say you're doing an excavation, you had the volume before, the surface before and the surface after, you can get to compare the two using the volume to get the difference of the two. But for our case, since we're creating the existing ground, we'll use the thin surface. Remember what I said? For each element the software knows is going to create, it has already created a layer for it. But if you feel you don't want to use this layer for that surface, you can always get to modify it from here. And you create your own surface the same way we did, or you just go with the default that is there. For this instance, I'll advise just go with the default. It's okay. So you just say, okay, if you're not making any changes. The next thing is on the information, you have to specify the name. Now, the name, others might like to represent it as the OGL, OGL, just to mean the original ground level. Others might choose to represent it as the existing ground. All right, existing ground as such. So they can choose, you can choose whichever name you want to represent, as long as it communicates to the next person that this is what I mean. If you have any notes, you can add them in the description. And then the style, don't worry about the style that much. We can always get to change the style. So whichever is here, let it not bother. You can even select 1:5, and when we develop our surface, we change it to 1:50 or whatever. So the style and the render material shouldn't give you a problem. Whichever is there, you can just go with it. Then you say, okay. But someone will ask me, where is my surface? All that work that I've done, where is my surface? Yes, we've created a surface, but that surface doesn't have any data. We have to add data to it. All right. So if we expand our data, our surface from the prospector, you will see this is our surface, the existing ground. But this existing ground is just a shell without data. So we have to provide data to it. To do that, just expand it. You'll see the definition tab. You expand it once more. There are different ways you can add data to a shell that is a surface. You can either do it through contours. If you had a bunch of contours, you can convert them and then you add them to a surface as a data set. You can use digital elevation models or DEM files that you download from the internet, and then you use them. But for our case, we won't explore those two right now. For our case, we have the points, so we can just add them as point groups. So to do that, you can just select that, right click, then say add. And which points are we going to add to our surface? You can choose to create a separate surface for the delta, for the commando, for the beta, and alpha. But for our case, we just want a uniform surface because it's the same area. You can just select all points and then say OK. The moment we do that, you can see we've been notified that there are some points that are duplicated. You can see these are the duplicated points, and it makes sense since we are working as different teams on the same ground. It makes sense that some points might have been duplicated, especially the benchmarks. And the software will just let you know. If you want to know which point exactly, you can always click on zoom to, and it will zoom to where that point is that is duplicated. But if you are done with this, you can come to action and just clear all events, and then you close it. Once you close it, you'll be able to appreciate the surface that you're having. And this is the surface that we created, as you can see. Okay, this is where our base, the first base was, this is where our benchmark was, and this is our surface. Any question up to that point? Is everything clear? Let me check the chat box. Yeah, it's good that you people don't have questions. What it might make me get worried that you're not getting anything, or you're super smart, you're getting everything. So I don't know. I'm just there. Okay, you can see this is base one. This is our surface. This is what we created. There is some discrepancy here. You can see between this point and this point, we didn't pick any points, but yet the surface has been referenced to that. There are ways to fix that, and we'll explore them in a bit. But you can just take time and appreciate. You can see most of these points, we picked them from the same area. They share the same elevation. So the contours, we might need to choose a tighter mesh for contours to have it representing the entire area. But what we're having is okay still. It's still okay. So I'm just trying to make sense of what we're seeing. The fence, the spot height, this is the benchmark. Okay, this should be the KISM 8 benchmark. The spot height, where is the fence? We're having a building here. Or not. Okay, we'll be able to make sense of everything. The next thing before we continue, because I'm seeing we're having a lot of information and we can't make sense of it, is getting to georeference your drawing. When we were picking these points, we were told that this is the coordinate that you are using. That was the ARC 1960 UTM, right? And the zone, we were told the zone is 37 south. And I think the previous class I was able to show you the zones. Let me check. Okay, let me just do that one more time. Google Earth Pro. Just a moment. I think I was working on something. I need to turn it off before we proceed. And just give it a moment to load. Connect to the servers. If you have a lot going on, then you might take a little bit longer. So just a moment. I have to turn off this, and also this too. All right. Now we can get into it. So, okay, just a moment, my place, minimize that. All right, so these are the UTM zones. You can see they're labeled from one. One is from just close to Japan here. This is the first segment, the first zone, 1. And it goes to the right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, until we get to Kenya, where we're having Kenya bisected into 2 zones. That is the 36 and the 37, as you can see. But also, we are bisected by the equator, this one. So it's either you're in 36 north or 36 south. Either you're in 37 north or 37 south. So this is how our country is divided. The area that we were looking on, or where the area, our area of interest, our area of interest is in Nairobi, and you can clearly see the zone that where we are. This is the 37, but in the southern side. So our zone will be 37 south. The easiest way, if you're working on a project and you want to identify the zone clearly, just search it. You can just get to search the area here, and then you reference the zone. It will tell you the zone here. This is the zone, but my bottom right, 37, and then the last, it will tell you if it's north or south. So for our case, this is 37 south. If I go up, you can see it switches to 37 north. If I go to my left, it will switch to 36 north. If I go down, 36 south. That's how you get to do it. And to get to appreciate this in Google Earth Pro, go to your tools, go to options, and make sure that the UTM zone is selected. If you're still in degrees, you won't be able to appreciate what I'm looking at. You'll be seeing the latitude and the longitudes as such. And that might be a bit confusing because you see some zones that you expect to be in the 37, you have 38, 39, and 40, and you still in the 36, you're having 35, 34. This can be a bit confusing. So make sure you just change it to UTM, then you say okay. If you want to appreciate this grid, because I know some might not be able to see them, just go to view and then make sure that the grid is checked on. If it's off, you won't be able to see anything. You'll just see the ground, the background. So if you want to appreciate it, you go to view and you check the grid, turn it on. That's how you'll be able to see. Now, from this small exercise, we've been able to deduce that our zone is 37. So how do we set, or how do we tell the software exactly that? So you go back to the software, we go to our settings. Where you're having your drawing name, just right click and go to edit drawing settings. All right. In your drawing settings, you can check your UTM zone and the units here. So for the units, we are okay because we started on a metric template. The units are in meters. This is the scale that you're working on. So there's nothing to change there. On the zone, this is where we need to change. Now, just select the country where your project is. Remember, it's not where you are, where your project is. So if you're working on a project in South Africa, make sure you select South Africa. If you're working on a project in Uganda or Tanzania, make sure you select that. So for our case, it's in Kenya. You look for Kenya. Where's Kenya? Should be here. Then in Kenya, you'll be told that the available coordinate system for Kenya, there are 4 in the ARC 1960. Then we have the WGS system. That is the World Geodetic System. It's also there, but we'll be using the ARC 1960 datum. So you get to select that. Remember, it was 37 south. You select that. The rest will populate itself. So you don't need to worry about it. Then once that is done, you make sure you click OK. And by doing that exercise, you've just georeferenced your drawing. If my screen was bigger, you will note that there's a new tab that will appear called geolocation. Before you georeference your drawing, you want to be able to see this tab called geolocation. So if you click on that tab and you'll be able to appreciate the different features, but I'll draw your attention to the online maps. Right now, the maps are off, but I can just get to select the being hybrid. Once I do that, it will pull the online maps to that area that we've been working on. And you can get to appreciate. These are the points that we selected for this area. And this is how the points were selected for the drain. Now at least you can make sense. Okay, this is what this guy meant by DR. This is the drain. You can see it here and so forth. But I usually have an issue. Now you can see this is what I was meaning just before I clarify on something. Nobody crossed this boundary point here, this fence, to go and collect a point here. Right? So it means that these might be outliers. So I'll show you how to fix so that we just have our localized points of system encompassing this area of interest here. And now that being said, I wanted to say something on the map. The map that we're using or the maps that we're looking at are the Bing maps. And the Bing maps are not known to be quite up to date compared to the Google Maps. And that's why from the software that I had provided or shared with you, I provided another software called Spatial Manager. If you installed it, it should appear in your tab here somewhere, or here where I'm having mine. So I'm just going to switch to Google Maps using Spatial Manager. It's quite, once you georeference your drawing, the rest is just preference. Do you want to use Bing Maps? Do you want Google Maps? And so forth and so on. There's another tool called Flexat. Let me move this. Flexat. You can still also appreciate the maps using that. The only difference, okay, let me do it. Don't want to just give it lip service. Let me demonstrate. The only difference between Flexat and the default and Spatial Manager is that Flexat will give you a static image. This one is dynamic. As I zoom, it will zoom with me. If I zoom out, it will expand the map that I'm seeing. If I zoom in, it will focus and improve the quality of what I'm seeing. But for Flexat, it will just give you a fixed image. So you just go to quick view. Let me specify by rectangle. And I want to specify the corner. So I'll specify from that area. This is what I want to see. And I want you to spot the difference from the Flexat image vis-a-vis the image from Bing. So you just give it a moment, it will be able to fetch the view. And voila, you have your image. And you can see this image is up to date. Even the trees, you can see they've grown compared to what we were having from the Bing maps. The trees are even different. The road is paved compared to what we were having as a rough road. From the other side, you can even see the vehicles that were parked. It tells you that this image is as recent as possible compared to what we were having earlier. But the downside for this is this image is static. If I zoom out and zoom in, you won't see any change. In fact, let me shut down the default maps, that is geolocation, and then I turn off the maps. This is what I mean. If I zoom out or zoom in, that image will remain static. As much as it's giving us the latest image, it remains static. And that's why I rarely use Flexat unless I'm working on a static project that is a building or a construction site, because you expect less to change with time. Or when you're working on that project, you expect you won't be zooming in and out of that project, compared to if you're working on a linear project like a railway line or a road or a pipeline or sewer network, something like that. So for me, I don't appreciate this, so I'm just going to delete it, just highlight it and then delete. It will go. And that's where Spatial Manager comes in. As for Spatial Manager, once you select it, I think you should be able to access it from the tab, but what you'll be seeing is more of the same as what I'm seeing. If you are yet to set the coordinates, you can set them from here. Remember, the coordinates you just set the same way we did. But if you're interested in the maps, just click on show. It will give you the access to Google Maps, the Bing Maps, the OpenStreetMaps, the ArcGIS maps, the USGS maps, though right now with what's happening in the US, these maps are not available right now. We have the Thunderfrost. From the map box, ordinance, and survey and the near study, these ones you have to pay together. But from Google Earth, you will have them. So what I'm going to go for, you can either use the satellite, hybrid, roads, whatever, but I love the hybrid traffic. So I just select that and go ahead and click OK. So you'll get the benefits of the default georeferencing system. That is the one that you're given by the software, the Bing map, where you can zoom in and zoom out. And also you'll get the benefit of PlexArt of having the latest maps. And in addition to that, you'll get the labels. At least you now know what you're looking at, all right? So you can see someone is saying, but this one is mislabeled. The kissing mess is not here. From us who are there, we know the mess is supposed to be here. And so forth. You can see this is the parking area. It is well labeled, and so forth and so on. So you can get to appreciate it more from this perspective. You can zoom in and zoom out accordingly. That's the benefit that you get with the Spatial Manager. If you still love or you're still in love with the Bing Maps, you can always just switch, come to Bing Maps, and then select, let's say you're looking at the map hybrid. It will still give you the same interface you are having from the default, where you'll have your Bing Maps. And you can all agree the Bing Maps are not updated regularly compared to the Google Maps. So if you want to switch, just switch back as such, and you select what you want to look at. I think after that point, I feel like I've given you too much information. If I continue, I'll lose you rather than have you with me. So I'll take any questions and beg to stop there. Any questions, any concerns or comment you have, you can bring them out right now. Yes? Yes, someone's mic is hot. You can ask your question. All right. I'm going to assume that you're all good up to that point. So what's expected of you is to at least clean the data, make sure that you harmonize the descriptions that we are seeing. You can see we are having the SH for the spot height. For some who are having SP, so we can harmonize and have them as one. The other thing that we'll need from you is to trace out all the buildings. Just do a sketch for like this building. Make sure you join all the points for the buildings. You join all the points for the parking. Just coming up with a sketch of how the parking should be. You can see the gate and the red edge from this side. You sketch it out. Just basic line work. You can get to do that. And then once you do that, once you've imported your points and you've done that, make sure you georeference your drawing and you get to visualize your maps. We can meet next time, probably on Monday. We are giving you the entire time to work on your drawings and work on your output. We meet on Monday. We have a look at what you've done. If you have questions, make sure you shoot them in the group. And then we can pick up from there and complete this. We thought it was wise to give you more days other than the 3 days that we gave you. But if you feel you're tired with us, then you can drop it from there. But for those who are interested, we'll continue assisting you until you come up with a topographical map. That is the end goal. At the end of the day, you need to be in a position to produce a topographical map of an area with all the labels, with all the legends and everything. They should be up to standard. So that is what we'll do for this area. But for us to continue, we have to make sure that we've not left you behind and you're able to follow through. So Take your time, clean your data, make sure you harmonize the descriptions that you're having for your data. Once they're harmonized, make sure you import your data to the software, create the description keys for the various features that you're having, create a surface. Once you create your surface, you do what? You reference your drawing, and finally visualize your maps. And the last thing that I'll ask of you that I've not demonstrated is to trace out the various elements, especially the buildings, the parking lot, the roads. Make sure they are traced out so that you are able to appreciate them. Then from Monday, we'll be able to analyze our surface, get to see which is the lowest point, which is the highest point, and different ways that we can get to do that using the elevation, the slope arrows, using the watershed analysis tool. We'll be able to do that. We'll be able to do the contour labels. You can see right now our surface is not pretty well labeled. So we'll be able to label our surface for the contours, grades, if you want them, the spot elevations, how do we add them? And then we'll be able to now create a legend and a title block for our map, and then we churn it out. That will be it. That being said, unless someone has a question for me, I move that we close the meeting. Just before I close, I can see I have my colleagues with me, so I'll ask them to say hi before they leave. That is Engineer Blasius and Engineer Brian Kipruto. Kindly say hi to our members before we close.
Good evening, Tim.
Good
I
evening.
hope you're
I
well.
can hear you.
I hope you're well. And I'd also like to thank those who are with us today as we keep on learning. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brian, for that encouragement. Engineer Blasius.
Good evening. Thank you, Engineer West, for taking us through the session. I also want to thank the few of us who have managed to join the session. And just as Wesa said, we'll always be there to help you till we finish this project. So don't hesitate in case you have any challenge. You can just reach out to any of us and we'll be able to help you. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you for being here with me tonight. Thank you for carrying me 2 hours of your lifetime to listen to me. I hope you learned something from this exercise. Learning is one thing, but you need to do. All right, you need to do. So make sure you get to practice. Repeat what we've done with you guys. Make sure you make the data much better than what I had. Make it more clean and make it more presentable. Then we meet on Monday with what you've done and we finish up on the remaining part. Thank you. Have a good night. Let's meet on Monday.